This morning we were talking about what is real wealth, what is real success. And I hope we're starting to understand that without some spiritual core, without some understanding of basic Bhagavad Gita, we have no way to measure our progress in life. We'll go crazy if we simply try to evaluate our life in terms of finances, fame, fortune. No one in the world has remained sane doing that. You've come to Australia and you're seeking fame and fortune. But what is the reason why you're able to get employment? Why is it that persons will hire those of you coming from India instead of their own people? Why is that? Who has any idea? Raise your hand, please. Yes?
You work harder?
You work hard. So the employers, the human resource people, they know. Those from India will work hard. For less money? What else?
Cheap resources.
Huh?
Cheap resources, less money.
Less money, yes. More work for less money. What else?
Scarcity of workforce.
Scarce? Is that really so? The scarcity of the workforce. Think deeper. What are you actually saying? It's not that there's shortage of people in Australia.
They give permanent residency to the
Huh?
They give permanent residency to the people where they are they need that people in that industry.
And why do they need people in that industry?
Because they are scarce.
Why are they scarce?
So no one wants to do the job.
No one wants to do the job.
They've got better job opportunities.
Lack of skills?
And why lack of skills? Why they don't want to do the job?
Lazy.
So, what other reasons could there be why they'll hire you? We heard about harder work, less pay. What else?
More skills.
Huh?
More skills.
More skills.
Yes. More skills.
More skills. More skills for less money. Yeah?
Exactly.
Oh, I see.
Very flexible. Indian people are flexible.
Huh?
Indians are flexible people.
Flexible.
Flexible, more skills, more hardworking.
More skills. What do you mean by flexible? They'll work harder and...
Because they are highly qualified people.
Hmm?
They could quickly grasp a subject or anything, whatever it is, and they could work flexible. They could do flexible things.
Flexible. You say they quickly adapt with their high skills.
Exactly.
And can you also mean that they're more acceptable? Yes, I'll do that.
That's right. Acceptable people.
Whereas the local population might say, forget it, just get someone else. I'll just stay at home and watch the footy. Any other reasons?
Taxes.
Huh?
Taxes.
Taxes? What do you mean?
We work and we pay tax.
No, but everybody will pay taxes.
Good quality of brain.
Good quality of brain. Meaning, are you trying to imply that the locals they have lesser brain quality? Now, why might you say that? Why the lesser brain quality? Hmm? Anyone?
Honesty.
Honesty. Can you give, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, like we stick to one employer for a long time.
Huh?
We are not like a grasshoppers. We don't change jobs very frequently.
I see. So I see. So the employers know. No. They'll stay for a long time no matter what.
We've got a balance in our family life as well. Like we've got a good family, so we can be more stress-free at work and
Good balance in family life, more stress-free at work.
We do our work with full dedication.
Full dedication as opposed to what?
We just do it with our full dedication and devotion.
And so what's the opposite of that? What do the others do? They don't do it full dedication and devotion?
They do it, but I think the Indians are a bit more into it.
Why?
Don't know the reason.
Why?
we've got competition back in our country. So
You're hungry. You're more hungry, as I say. So the young lady who was saying about the family and less stress. Well, the fact is that in the first world countries, family life is finished. It doesn't exist. More children are born to unmarried mothers now than married mothers. Most children grow up in homes where their original parents aren't there than do. Those are the statistics. People don't even, in Australia and New Zealand, the locals don't even bother to get married anymore. I like to tell the story. There's one devotee, some of you may know in New Zealand, Thakur Saranga. He's from Calcutta. So he was marrying one British devotee, Sukanti Radha. So before the Vedic wedding, they were arranging the legal wedding. So they went in Auckland, they went to the office for marriage, birth, and death records. And so they walked in and they said, we would like to apply for legal wedding. And the people in the office practically fell out of their chairs. Someone's coming here to get married? We can't believe it. This is the marriage, birth, and death office. People only come about birth and death. No one comes for marriage anymore. And you're coming because you want a legal wedding. How unusual. How amazing. So this couple, they thought they would have to wait like 3 weeks to schedule the legal ceremony wedding because there's so many people. No, the office worker told them, yeah, you can have it any time. There's no one else. No one comes to get married. So it's true that these family problems, family breakdown causes such distress in the mind. But what will stop you all from also going that route? The very things that have made your employment desirable, because the others, their lives are breaking down. What happens when you or your children go that route? What happens then? What will prevent that? Tell me. What will prevent your getting the lesser brain substance? No one's answering that.
Our values.
Values. Your values will remain with you through thick and thin. Where did the values come from? Who will say? Where do your values come from? that will remain with you and keep you from becoming like the locals?
Your upbringing, your family.
Upbringing. Inheritance of what? Money or gold jewelry or what? Huh?
Spiritual and cultural values.
Spiritual and cultural values. Ooh. Suddenly everyone is drowning in dharma here. Spiritual and cultural values. Sounds very interesting. I thought it was all about money and success. Now I hear these strange words of spiritual and cultural values. Now where do those come from, if they are there? Assuming they are there. Where do they come from? Will someone inform me? Huh? Scriptures. Ooh. Do you read the scriptures? Why do you say that? Anyone else? Where do the cultural and spiritual values come from that are going to save you?
Our teachers.
Your teachers? What, in school?
No, throughout different forms in life, you'll come across people that you learn from. They may not be tagged by the label teacher, but it could be a parent, a friend, a guru.
But anyone can say that. They can say that also in Australia. We have our teachers, Shane Warne, and they'll say we're even open to learning from Sachin. So, what do you mean? You stay in Victoria long enough, they'll try to get you and teach you Aussie rules. You're probably already into it, huh?
Actually, no, I can't.
Not yet. Those are cultural values. So, again, where do the cultural and spiritual values you're talking about come from?
Our holy books. Our holy books like Bhagavad Gita and like...
Holy books. Oh, it's amazing how religious everyone's getting. Do you read the holy books?
I read the...
Huh?
I read the Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji and the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita.
How long ago?
It's 1 month.
Oh, okay. But the books are on your shelf, yes? Your bookshelf, yes? Yes?
No, I'm trying to read.
All right, very good. So, let's try to get to the root of this, where you say that you have spiritual and cultural values that will lead to greater success. Is that what you're trying to tell me? Huh? And that will preserve your success. And are you also telling me that your children are going to automatically have these values, these spiritual and cultural values? It will be passed down in the DNA, right? Right? Or no? These children here, they're making sounds. They will automatically have the spiritual and cultural values, right? It's in their genetic code. Is that so? Okay, so then where is it going to come from? How will you keep it, and how will your children get it? Please tell me.
From family and society.
From whose family and which society?
From parents and society.
Which parents and which society?
You're very much your mom and dad. And
You'll fly them over. Is that it? While you are pursuing fame and fortune, fly over mother and father to impart the spiritual and cultural values. Is that it?
The actions that we do and take every day.
will impart spiritual and cultural values to your children?
It's what you do that makes the difference.
What you do. Well, how do you decide what to do now? You're in Australia. Grandmother who read you Mahabharata stories when you were little, she's overseas. So what are you going to do now?
We being an example for them?
Where do you get your example from so that you can be an example to your children?
From our parents and from our culture and religion.
But that's in the old country. You are now in Australia.
We teach them what we know or what we brought.
And how much is that? So you brought a little, okay. And then when it comes to the children, your children, it'll be even less, right? And their children will be even less, right? That's just the way it works. Things just diminish with each passing generation. And also, there's so much pressure from the outside atmosphere, yes? I always point out that you might be holding on to a little bit of spiritual and cultural values to distinguish yourself from the locals. But what will your children say? They'll say, Father, we want to be Australian. Why are you imposing these old ways upon us? What are you going to say then? Don't be old-fashioned, Father. What are you going to say? Please, my children, do not behave like this. Your grandmother would not be pleased. Is that going to really affect them? And what about you yourself? You'll become affected. You are becoming affected. Yes? The open, free, liberal atmosphere of the Aussies. You're trying to tell me that doesn't affect you? Of course it does. You see that there's no traditions, no morality. Everyone just is free of all that. And certainly you wonder about it, yeah? Maybe this could be the superior way of life. Or if not the superior way of life, it could be good sometimes to be like that. Right? Sometimes. Let the steam out of the valve. Right? So here we have a classic example of we really don't know what to do or what not to do. So let's get to the root of the issue. Where do moral laws come from? Are they something that we just make up according to circumstance, or do they come from some higher source? What do you say? So far, it sounds like most of you just accept that there are good and bad things to do just based on tradition and what your parents and society that you're coming from taught you. But society changes, and parents change with each generation. Just like at the beginning of the 20th century, it was unheard of for a respectable Indian lady to even go across the street to visit her neighbor unless she was in a palanquin. It was considered low class to just walk across the street to visit the neighbor. Because a respectable lady would never show herself to the public eye, the general public eye. So she would call for a palanquin, with the curtains around it. And the palanquin carriers would just take her right across the street to visit the neighbor. That was at the beginning of the 20th century. Now, how many of our ladies from India operate like that now? Anyone? So, you see.
But that's not even practical anymore. That's not even practical anymore.
It's not practical anymore. Well, I'm not arguing about what's practical. I'm just showing you how traditions change. Just like I remember when we first started doing these weekends, I don't know, maybe 8 years ago, very rarely or never did I encounter situations of boys and girls living together without marriage. Now it's nothing unusual. And the reasons they give are, well, it saves money, that's all. Saves rent money. We both are working different shifts, going to school, and the hours are different, so we'll never see each other at all unless we live together because, you know, schedules, the modern schedules. Nothing unusual now. You go to Bangalore, where so many call centers are, and that's all that's going on. Boys and girls living together. When the parents find out, the parents are upset, but then the children convince them, look, this is the practical thing. It's saving rent money. We split the rent costs, and it's cheaper that way than paying the rent yourself, one person. Finally, the parents say, all right. If the parents find out at all. So things and times change. Remember when it would be maybe just 10 or 15 years ago on the streets of Delhi or Mumbai, boy and girl walking hand in hand would be considered horrible. Right? 10 or 15 years ago. Now, what is the situation? You can embrace on the street corner, no problem. And when I first went to India in 1977, no one could even think of such things. Holding hands in public. It was considered the lowest dog behavior. Now it's considered very sophisticated, very fashionable. So people change. What about divorce? It used to be considered unheard of. But it's happening now, right? I know in New Zealand, one couple, the young man, he's from, I think, Madhya Pradesh, and his wife, she's from North America. So she was, you know, ladies they always need reassurance, and she was feeling insecure, even though they were already married, and she was saying, oh, are you sure you're not going to leave me? Are you sure you're not going to leave me? And you say, how can you think like that? I'm Indian. Indians don't do these things. I don't know if you can say that anymore. He was astonished. How could you have these fears? How could you feel so insecure? I'm Indian. You married an Indian. We never leave the wife. It never happens. But you all know cases of it happening, right? No? Things are breaking down. So what does that mean in terms of success? It means that the very things that gave you the competitive edge in the job market are gradually being corroded and reduced. alcohol problems, relationships outside of marriage, divorce. These things are happening. So again, the question, how do we know what is right and what is wrong? So atheistic philosophers say that all your conceptions of right and wrong are just from social customs. They're like the road code, traffic laws. Society devises these things based on convenience. And that there's no higher origin of moral laws, of what is right, what is wrong. You get the atheistic philosophers say that you get your conception of what is right and wrong from your parents and from society. It's all social conditioning. What do you say about that? We had a few persons mention scriptures and holy books, and even fewer who actually read them. But what do you say? Is there some higher origin of moral laws, or is it just social custom that's subject to change? Like ladies keeping themselves hidden in public in India 100 years ago. Now it's all different. How do you know what is right, what is wrong? Remember this morning I was quoting Deepak Chopra. He's from India, but he became totally westernized and made it big, making big money writing books, being a spokesperson. How do you know what's right? Consult your body. If your body gives a good feeling, it's right. If your body gives a bad feeling, it's wrong. Trust your body. Where does that come from? Where does that idea come from? Doesn't come from any holy book or any scripture. In Srimad Bhagavatam, the graduate study of Bhagavad Gita, it is stated, Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Dharma, the path of religion, directly comes from the Supreme. Just like a bull is guided by the ring in the nose and ropes coming from the ring to the driver, similarly the human being is guided by the Dharma laws, which directly come from the Supreme Source. But atheists will say, that's all nonsense. You're just imagining that. What do the atheists say? That when you were a child, you had a parent who guided you and told you to do certain things and not to do other things. Then when you became an adult, you, because of the parental influence, you imagine that there's a supreme being who guides you and tells you what's right and what's wrong. It's all just a projection from your childhood. But when you become a fully mature adult, you throw off all those conceptions, and you realize there's no supreme guide, there's no dharma, there's no moral codes. What do you think? Or no one's thinking at all? Too much? Everyone's looking puzzled. Why do you say some things are right, some things are wrong? Everyone's looking this way, that way. I told you this is going to be an exciting weekend. Challenging weekend. So we have the superior brain substance in this room, so please. Let us deal with these questions. Can anyone help? How do you know what's right and wrong? Where does it come from? this sense of right and wrong. Maybe it's just conditioning. And now you've come to Australia and you can get rid of some of that conditioning and no one will ever know. No one in your family will see. You can become more free. But then you may have guilt. Oh, I shouldn't have done this. This is not the way I was raised. This is not my background. I shouldn't have done that. Where does this guilt come from? Is it just conditioning? Where does it come from? Why not just throw all inhibitions away and just act? What do you think? Wouldn't that be superior than to be burdened by guilt and shame? Throw away all restrictions. Be free. Why not? Who will say?
Chaos.
Chaos. Who said that? What do you mean, chaos?
Well, if we were to just release everything, all of our inhibitions,
Mm-hmm.
I really do believe the world would end up in chaos. Everyone doing what they want when they want.
Oh, you mean like now? Well, that's what's going on now. India's also becoming like that. So the atheists would agree with you that it's only for law and order that we should agree on various codes of behavior. But don't say that they have a divine origin. Just say it's human convenience. What do you think of that? Huh?
I wouldn't agree.
Suppose your children will say to you, Father, why can't we do like the other children in the neighborhood? What are you going to say? Well, there'll be chaos. You can't do like that. What will you say? Father, why can't we... Our 12-year-old friends are all drinking alcohol. Why can't we? What will you say?
To put it simply, because I won't let you.
But why won't you let us? What is the reason? Is it superstition? What is the reason?
Yeah, there's probably more than just one reason.
Well, they'll say, Father, give us one reason. Especially when in your cupboard you have some whiskey bottles. If it's good for you, why cannot we? They'll say, oh, I know, Father, you only take a drink when India wins the cricket match. But still, you are drinking. Why cannot we? All our 12-year-old friends, they drink.
It's not our culture.
Huh?
It's not our culture, Hindu culture.
It's not our culture. Your children are going to accept that reason.
It's not our dharma, it's not our Hindu culture.
That is your child then?
No.
But all right, so when you have a child, the child you're going to say, it is not our culture, and the child will say, yes, mother, I understand. You really believe that? How many of you think that the children will accept that reason? Raise your hand. I think no one believes it.
Based on that fight only we will raise the kids.
Huh?
Based on that fight we'll raise the kids.
But what you can raise them, but what happens when they're teenagers?
We have to raise them like we have to teach them, we have to educate them.
Yes, but then when they become teenagers, and they start asking questions, why can't I bring my girlfriend home for the night? What are you going to say? Huh?
Teenage is a temporary thing. Once they become mature, definitely they will become our tradition. Definitely they will believe.
Ooh, really? Please, give me some help here. What's going on? What are you going to tell your teenagers? They say, why can't we do what the others do? Where does this idea of right and wrong come from? You say, our culture, our upbringing. But they'll say, but our culture is Australian. It's not Gujarat or Tamil Nadu, whatever. It's Australia. What are you going to say then? They'll agree with you. Okay, it's all about culture, but our culture is Aussie. They'll tell you that they'll even cheer in the cricket matches. They'll cheer for Australia, not India. What are you going to say there? Such a horrible event. What are you going to say? You cannot come up with any better reason. It's not our culture. Grandmother didn't say like that. And what are your children going to say? Oh, grandmother's not here. She's a nice lady. She visits once a year. We have our own life. All our friends are doing like this. They are taking some drinks. They're not. We're not. We don't mean to get drunk. Just take a little drink. And your 12-year-old daughter will tell you, all my girlfriends have boyfriends. What's wrong? It's the culture. What are you going to say? When your children ask you, where does right and wrong come from?
By example, lead them by example, try that if you don't do that, they would obviously hesitate and do it.
They may hesitate, but then when they're teenagers, they want to know. Why should we hesitate? Maybe we should just free ourselves of these inhibitions that you planted in us. No guilt, no shame, be free. What are you going to say?
You tell us.
Everything depends on what is the origin of the moral codes. Can human beings manufacture dharma? Think about it. Let's look at it another way. What makes you say that one behavior is good and one behavior is bad? Just like I think in Papua New Guinea, there used to be these tribes that when the elderly members of the tribe got too old, the tribe would cook them and have a big feast. And that way they don't have to worry about social benefits for the elderly. And also at the same time they have food. So would you say that's practical or no? In the first world, not many children are being born, and there's so many old people burdening the economics of society, health care and social support. Someone could argue it's much cheaper to do what the Aboriginals in Papua New Guinea did. When people get a certain elderly age, just cook them up. Have a feast, and that way it's practical. Practical use of resources. What do you say? How would you argue against that? Oh, it's not our culture. Well, certainly it's not any civilized human being's culture, but nevertheless, how would you argue against it? It seems practical. And why does it seem practical? If everything is matter, then nothing matters. You're just making efficient arrangements of matter. You understand? This matter is old and useless, so we get rid of it in a way that benefits the new matter, the younger persons. If you consider everything material, then why shouldn't you make such a practical engineering decision? Complete recycling resources, you know? Recycle the grandparents. Why be horrified if everything is just matter? So how do you judge that one action is better than another action? You would say, oh, no, that Aboriginal culture sounds horrible. Oh, that is not our culture. Our culture is better. Okay. In order for you to say that, you are then referring to a standard. Because it's only by having some standard in your mind that you can say this is better than that. You understand? If we say, what about the Nazis? The Germans, intelligent and industrious. Why do you look down on them and say that they were barbaric in comparison to your own culture? You do that because in your mind there's a standard that you're comparing X to Y. So now the question is, what is that standard? Why don't we be conscious of it instead of unconscious? Without a standard, how can you compare? You have to say everything is good in its own way. Those who have grandfather feasts, that's good. Those who don't, that's good. It's all up to your individual cultural expression. But no, you have a feeling that this behavior is superior than that behavior. In order to say that, you have to be referring to a standard, consciously or unconsciously. You understand? Otherwise you can't measure. So what is the standard and where does it come from? Is simply your sense of what is right and wrong just a relative thing that's instilled in you by society? It may come very soon to the point where grandmother in Lucknow says something completely different from grandmother in Andhra Pradesh. So is there any high standard for our behavior? It's all just arbitrary. So the local culture says, don't worry about it. Just drink, be merry, have a good time. Show up for work on Monday, try to shake off the hangover. But you say no, right? Right now you say no. But why? Some psychologists could say it's better just to party and have a good time. Let it out. Be free-flowing. Some of you may have even tried that. So where does the standard come from? Basically, we are wrestling with the point of identity. Are we matter or are we something else? If we're just matter, then let us make the best arrangement for matter. Just like you recycle glass bottles, recycle cans. Similarly, let's recycle human beings. Have grandfather feasts, so many things. And then you can also, with that philosophy, you can tell your children just what the locals tell their children. Just do whatever makes you happy, dear. Those are the only moral guidelines given. Follow your dream. Do whatever makes you happy. There's no higher understanding. Just each to his or her own. Do what makes you happy, what makes you feel good. We just want your father and I, even though you haven't seen your father for 15 years, your father and I just want that you're happy. Not only your father, but also the man that I'm living with now. We just want that you're happy. What are you going to say? How do you know what is right, what is wrong? No one can give me an answer.
From our internal consciousness.
Internal consciousness. Please be more scientific. Internal consciousness. What are you referring to?
Let's take the example, like if somebody is offering me wine, so my internal conscious don't allow
If someone's offering you what?
something, you can say meat or wine, my internal conscious don't allow me to.
So what will your external consciousness allow? I know, I shouldn't ask those questions. Okay. This so-called internal consciousness, what is it scientifically composed of? Can someone tell me? Where are our scientists here?
It's just our belief.
Huh?
It's just our belief.
Just a belief. Yes, the atheist would agree 100%. Just a belief.
If you measured it scientifically, then it could only ever relate to the material world.
Right.
So
That's all we have, scientists would say. Everything's just matter, organized in various ways.
So would it be fair to assume that our consciousness, our conscience, is something greater than just what's measurable?
You may assume that, but that's not what material science says. There's just matter. You're just a bag of chemicals that somehow or other has this notion there's free will. Where are bioengineers? There's one. Describe to me through bioengineering what the internal consciousness is composed of. She says her internal consciousness will tell her what is right and wrong. How do you describe it as an engineer? What's it made of?
We don't have any concept of internal consciousness in bioengineering.
So what is the conception of the human being? Huh?
It's just a body with different parts which are functioning. They have each part is having its own function. They're all together.
It's just a bag of chemicals. Now, how much are the chemicals worth? Mostly water, right? So, if we're just matter, then what's all the worry about? What is right or what is wrong? That's what the Nazis said. They had a program to kill all disabled or retarded children, to keep them from spoiling the gene pool. They actually did it. Their own people, not simply the Jews, but their own people. Germans, they killed about 5,000 children who were handicapped or retarded, and about 10,000 adults who were disabled. They had a German term for it. A life that is not worthy of life. Therefore, exterminate it. Get rid of it. And that way, you have a better material society, because everything is just matter. You get rid of the inferior matter, and all that will be left is superior matter. Of course, the Nazis considered that they were Aryans. They somehow had the idea that Aryan referred to one who has blonde hair and blue eyes. Whereas actually the Sanskrit term Aryan means those who are advancing, meaning in spiritual culture and spiritual civilization. It's not a biological characteristic, it's a behavioral characteristic. So what do you think? From the material point of view, why not get rid of all the children who are retarded or handicapped because they're spoiling the gene pool, they're wasting a lot of social effort, social money? Make the best material arrangement, because all there is matter. What do you have to say? Yes?
Well, it's just a sudden line. Yesterday there was a news
that certain group of university professors are.
Oh, we'll get to that later. Just anyone else? If we're going to be materialists, let's be full-on materialists. If we cannot attribute, if we cannot trace the origin of our culture and traditions to anything higher beyond matter, then we're just materialists. And our children will be able to detect that. The children will tell you, Father, Mother, why are you trying to stop us? You have no higher understanding. You have not given us any higher vision of reality. So what do you expect? You have not shown us a spiritual dimension to ourself or existence. All right, you take us to the temple once a year on Janmashtami. You taught us to put some brass coins into the box. That's all. Grandmother comes over once a year. But you haven't given us anything deeper than that. You have not given us any non-material understanding of the self or of the universe and beyond. So since everything is just matter and everything is material, let's be material, Mother and Father. What are you going to say? It's not our tradition. What are you going to say? Tell me. These children that are here now, what are you going to tell them in 10 years? What are you going to tell yourself in just a few years? As you become more and more affected by what's around you. Husbands become affected by the women at the workplace. Wives become affected by the men at the workplace. Oh, this man at work is so much nicer than my husband at home, and my mother-in-law, too much. What are you going to say? Your morals will change according to pressures and what's around you. And then you'll consult the locals at your workplace. Say, what are you worried about? Just do what you feel you have to do. Be happy. So again, our basic problem. If you have no spiritual understanding of the self and the Supreme Self, how do you draw the line? Everything is just matter. It doesn't matter what you do. Whatever is convenient, that's what you should do. Okay, make some arrangements so there's not chaos. But why do you think there's a God behind that arrangement? Sacrifice some of your freedom so there's no chaos. But that's all. There's nothing higher behind it. There's no spiritual reality. That's what the atheists say. And what does Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita? In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives you the tools to investigate spiritual reality. To experience the spiritual reality. Many of you are afraid of becoming true believers. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna doesn't ask for your belief. He gives you the tools, the laboratory tools for experiencing what he's talking about. What does Krishna say? Raja Vidya, Rajaguyam Pavitram. This knowledge is the king of all knowledge, this most secret of secrets. It's pure. Prayaksha avagamam dharmyam. This science of the self, of the spirit self, is directly perceived. Sasukam kartamavyam. It's happily, joyfully performed. that Krishna is describing, the laboratory process of spiritual engineering. Krishna is not talking about just some tradition, some culture that changes. He is talking about the eternal characteristics of the living entity, the soul, the unit of spiritual consciousness, which is part of the Supreme Soul. And what is the relationship between the two? Without understanding the science of the soul and the Supreme Soul, you have no anchor. Your morals will always change. Everything becomes situational. In one country they drive on the left, the other country they drive on the right. So morals become like that. It all changes. When I was a young boy growing up in New York, all children in the neighborhood were taught by their parents, you don't have intimate relations before marriage. It was just looked down on, like, low class. And the children would ask their parents, why? Why? The parents say, it's better to wait. It's better to wait till you're married. That is right. That was the way it was in the 50s in New York. And then the 60s came. Everything went topsy-turvy, upside down. The young people started to think, if we are the body, in other words, if we are the body and bodily pleasure is the highest, why do we have to wait? The parents are basically telling us that we are the body and bodily pleasure is the ultimate. But the parents are simply saying, wait until you are married. Back in the 1950s, it was quite common. Persons would get married when they're 18, 19, or 20. But then the 60s came and the young people started to think, if we are the body, the parents agree we are the body, and that bodily pleasure is the ultimate, the parents also say that, why do the parents want us to wait? It's crazy. Let's go for it now, since it's the highest, since we are the body. And what can the parents say? Oh, Jesus doesn't like that. Naughty, naughty. It's a sin. So therefore, in the 60s, religion fell apart because the young people just took everything to the logical conclusion. If we are the body and bodily pleasure is the ultimate, we shouldn't wait. What does this talk about? Wait for marriage. Why can't we have now what the adults are having? Why are they depriving us? What do you say? See, everything breaks down if you don't understand the difference between matter and spirit. And that is the major problem, the crucial problem with civilization today. They don't understand the difference between matter and spirit. You try to describe the self and consciousness in terms of matter, then why not start having grandfather feasts? It's just matter. Your grandfather's matter. This cup is matter. Throw the cup away, throw the grandfather away. There's the problem. Why are you horrified? If I throw this cup out the window, suddenly you'll think, well, he's maybe wasting money, but it's just a cup. If I throw grandfather out the window, say, well, maybe he's creating more room at home. Without understanding the supreme origin of Dharma, you're lost. You'll just change everything. Time will change everything. And things will get more and more and more far out. As people just face the facts, we're just materialists. Let's be full-on materialists. Right? And that's exactly what your children will do. And you'll do it also 10 years from now. What you see in the Bollywood movies now, you'll be doing 10 years from now. That's how the movie producers figure. They make their movies. We'll show people what they'll be doing 10 years from now. They want to do it now, but they can't because of guilt and shame. But we'll show them on the movie screen what they'll be doing 10 years from now. We'll show it now. That's how they make their money. They put on the movie screen all your fantasies without shame or inhibition. And then they watch and wait. In 10 years, you'll be doing like that. And so then in 10 years, the movies get even further out. It just gets worse and worse. Until everyone is just out animal. Because an animal has no understanding of what is matter, what is spirit, what is right or wrong. So human beings, human civilization is simply becoming animal-like. You see how it's happening now? Because of a lack of scientific engineering, spiritual engineering, understanding what is the self, that the self is non-material. That is the first lesson that Krishna gives in Bhagavad Gita. So let's now see an example of how far out things are getting. What do you say? All those who agree, raise your hands. Babies are not real people. 1, 2, 3, raise. A 1 in the back. Okay, honest man. Now, these are medical ethics experts. Look at these prestigious universities they're connected with. They're the cream of society. The leaders. The gurus. Only one person is agreeing. These are not Nazis. These are not Aboriginals from Papua New Guinea. These are bioengineers, biomedical ethics experts, educated, PhDs. Next. All who agree, raise your hands. Why not? There's just an expedient, cost-efficient way to deal with matter. We're just matter. We're just bunches of matter that have certain customs, certain traditions and beliefs. It's all matter. Matter gets to a point where it has beliefs and customs and traditions, you see? Over millions of years, billions of years, matter develops into consciousness and has traditions and belief and a sense of identity. Is that what you think? Next. Very cost efficient, yes. Save money. Family budget is easily dealt with. Anyone agree? Raise your hand. No one agrees. Why? Be scientific. You're just dealing with matter. That's what they tell you. Next. These are the logical conclusions of materialism. Next. Next. Yes? It's brilliant logic, yes? It's cutting through all the unnecessary traditions and beliefs and cultural ideas. This is the cutting edge in more ways than one. Why should you be shocked? Yeah? Everything is judged according to your immediate sense gratification. Adoption might be a mother's option to choose for the child, but putting a child through adoption could cause the mother undue psychological distress. Remember Deepak Chopra's moral law? How do you know what's right? If your body feels good. If your body feels bad, it's wrong. So this is the same thing. If the mother feels inconvenience, it's wrong. She should just do something, kill the child. Even if the mother feels bad putting the child up for adoption, that shouldn't happen. She shouldn't feel bad. Just kill the child, then no problem. Yeah? Pillars of Western civilization, the Romans, and then we'll also hear from the Greeks. These were the glorious ancients, not the Indians, but the Romans, the Greeks. Okay? See, it's all in the Western cultural tradition. Okay? High morality. We're not killing the child. We're just leaving it to die of natural causes on its own. We're civilized. Yeah? All right, we'll stop here. We'll do that then. We'll cut it. Okay. So what do you have to say about that? This is progressive moral development here, you're seeing. The intellectual leaders of society are taking materialism to its logical conclusion. And unless you understand the spiritual science of Bhagavad Gita as Krishna has taught it, you won't be able to argue against this. The Christians have a very difficult time arguing against this because they don't have any spiritual science knowledge to go along with their very basic bhakti knowledge of devotion to God. The religions that come from the Near East, they don't have any deep fund of spiritual scientific knowledge. What is the self? What is matter? But India's great wealth of knowledge fully describes the spirit soul, how it takes a material body. What is Dharma? It's all there in Bhagavad Gita. Any questions? I hope now you can see the predicament, the situation that we're all in. And it'll be even more difficult for the children. Unless they have knowledge and their parents have knowledge and live according to that knowledge. We can turn on the lights in the back, please. Everyone looks speechless. Things are getting too far out, huh? But it's just a logical result of materialism. Everything is matter. There's no spiritual energy. There's no supreme spiritual source. So let's just rearrange matter in the best way. So what can you say? Everyone looks totally shocked.
But I have one question.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely we don't agree with all these things because we are following spiritual things.
You are following scriptural things. Is
Not
that
only me, 80%, I don't know, most of the people don't agree with things.
because? Why don't they agree?
They don't, because this is not acceptable.
Why?
Why?
No, let her finish. Why? That's what I'm asking. Why?
This is not, because we are
Because just like in Australia, you don't drive on the right side of the road, you drive on the left.
we are human beings. Basically we are
What does it mean to be a human being?
human being means there is a difference between human and animal.
What is that difference? I'm trying to understand these days. Would you please tell me? Most people today will be proud to say, we're just animals. Let's just be animals. No guilt, no shame. Deepak Chopra, how do you know what's good? See how your body feels. That's animal life. Your body feels bad, it's wrong. That's how animals live life. They tell what is good or bad by the smell and the sensation. Hmm?
Yes, basically human means they are having six senses.
Okay, what's the other? Okay, yeah, we understand that. Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita.
Animals, they don't have six senses.
What are they missing?
Six sense means that is called mind.
Animals have minds.
Mind
You see a cat or a dog, they like affection.
Mind means basically there is no replacement for, we call manasu in India, the Hinduism.
I'm knowing all this, but you tell me precisely that an animal doesn't have a mind?
No, that is called, mind means that is inner feeling.
Anyone who has pets, I saw there's a dog out here. You see the dog likes attention, it has feelings. If you neglect the dog, it cries.
They cannot differentiate what is right and what is wrong.
And how does a human being differentiate?
Human being can differentiate.
How do they do that if they do it? How do they do it?
They can do it by getting education.
So you can take a dog to a dog school, the dog will be trained. Do not pass stool in the house.
They don't have that option.
Huh?
Dogs, pets, they don't have that option because
The dogs, what?
the education means we have.
Do you have cat schools, dog training schools? Because you're not yet having pets. Your children will have pets, but you're not yet having pets.
But okay, they have schools, but can you teach all these things for dogs and pets?
Teach what things?
The Bhagavad Gita, can you teach to dogs and pets?
Can you teach it to human beings today?
Yes, we can. We can teach.
Having little difficulty. Some fortunate human beings like you, but otherwise.
So apart from this,
The government is teaching Bhagavad Gita to everyone? Yeah?
my question is different.
No. We're talking the same thing.
Okay, that's so yeah, Bhagavad Gita, whatever it is.
Whatever it is, yeah. This is the attitude. I agree. No, you're honest. Thank you.
I'm not just talking about our Gita. I'm talking about
Our Gita. All right. Yes, please. Our Gita.
I'm talking about whether it is Bible, Quran.
Okay. What about them? You have read them all?
But all of them has got same concept.
You have read?
Yes, I did read Bible.
Uh-huh.
I know something about something in the Quran.
All right. All have the same concept that what?
Concept is same in even Buddhist.
Concept is what?
Concept means the 10 commands. Commands from the God.
Huh?
10 commands.
10 commandments.
10 commandments.
Commands.
Thou shalt not kill humans.
No. The 10 commands how to lead the life.
Thou shalt not kill humans.
Sorry.
The Christians say that when the Bible says thou shalt not kill, it only refers to humans. Because animals have no soul. What do you say about that?
Sorry, I didn't get you. Can you please elaborate your question?
You're saying that in all the scriptures, there is some basic what is right, what is wrong.
10 commands say.
I agree, but the people's interpretation of that is all different.
Yeah, depend upon their
Culture.
no, that's their belief, not the culture. How they believe. How they believe. If you believe.
Just like persons come from India to Australia and they say, this is a meat-eating country, so if God has put us in this country, we should eat meat. If God had put us back in India, we would not eat meat, but God has put us in India, so we are eating meat. What do you say?
Now, I have one doubt, that's why
All right.
this is such a long time I'm talking.
It's all right.
In my observation, we are following all these spiritual things better.
Who is following?
We means like me, many people. I think most of the people who are sitting here. Maybe that is the reason they came.
They appreciate your generosity.
And while coming to other many people, they don't believe all these spiritual things. Like they think that this is just materialization, this world is. But I can't see any difference in their lifestyle. They don't lose anything. Whatever is going on, they're having good lives.
Good lives.
They're having good lives.
According to what measurement?
Measurement means the happiness in their faces. Like the basic needs of a human, like food, shelter, clothes.
That's animal needs.
What I'm telling, not the animal. Like
Animals, food, shelter, mating, defense, that's animal life.
But
Human beings do share those things with animals, but humans have a higher ability, which if they neglect, makes them no different than animals. And that's what you have today. They're neglecting their intelligence for understanding spiritual science. Spiritual science begins with knowing the difference between matter and spirit and what is the origin of both.
So by knowing all this, what we are going to...
By knowing God?
By knowing all these spiritual things, by following all the good things,
Good things.
What we are going to achieve? What better life we are going to achieve?
You're asking.
Yes, that's what I'm asking you.
First of all, you'll be a real human being.
Yes.
Secondly, you'll go beyond being a human being. You'll realize your spiritual identity as spirit soul, part of Krishna, the Supreme Soul. And then you'll understand the relationship between you and Krishna, the Supreme Soul.
Is there any proof for that?
Yes, that's why I'm saying in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna does not ask for your belief. No verse in Bhagavad Gita says, no shloka says, believe this. Everywhere Krishna says, here is the laboratory procedure. Here are the techniques of spiritual engineering. Follow this and this is the result you'll get. Isn't that scientific? So the greatest need of the day is that everyone here understands their huge spiritual heritage of spiritual science and acts upon it. Not based on belief or tradition or what grandmother says, but based on spiritual laboratory experience. Then they'll become very strong. Otherwise, they'll be very weak and easily swept away by all these things as the world gets more and more crazy. So a government can be neutral to all religions, but it cannot be neutral towards spiritual science. What are you? Are you matter or are you spirit? You can call yourself Christian, Buddhist, Muslim, whatever, but tell me, are you matter or are you something else? That issue cuts across all religious beliefs. It's not that there's a Hindu spirit soul and a Muslim spirit soul and a Christian spirit soul. Is there a Hindu diamond or a Muslim diamond or a Christian diamond? A diamond is diamond. So we need to understand the science of the soul and the Supreme Soul. That is what Krishna teaches in Bhagavad Gita and gives you the techniques to experience. Otherwise, we're going to get lost just like we did today. What is right? What is wrong? You understand? Huh?
Not completely.
Unless you have the knowledge that Lord Krishna gives in Bhagavad Gita, you won't be able to handle all these constant waves of change. What is right today becomes wrong tomorrow. What's wrong today becomes right tomorrow. Just like these scientists are saying, it's right to kill newborn children because their personality isn't fully developed yet. Their hopes and ambitions haven't fully developed yet. It's right. It will do good to society. Because they're thinking everything's just matter. You may throw some matter out the window, some piece of paper, simply throw the child out the window. What's the difference? It's only, they're saying, it's only when the child has hopes, ambitions, and plans that it's a full human being. Then don't kill. This is their crazy notion because they don't understand the spirit soul in the body. In other words, they don't see the difference between pet dogs and little children. Okay? Anything else? So I hope now that you are seeing the need for coming to grips with Bhagavad Gita, the need to understand what Krishna is teaching. Krishna is going deeper than just tradition and culture. Real tradition and real culture is based on the science of the soul. What's the easiest way to know that you have a spirit soul? You have consciousness. Consciousness cannot be described in any material terms. You can ask the bioengineers, please engineer some consciousness in the laboratory, in the laboratory. Go do it. They can't. That you cannot come up with any material explanation of consciousness lets you know that you have a non-material identity. The dogs are conscious too. It's just less developed than a human being. The dog's body does not permit the maximum display of consciousness that a human body does. But you can experiment with the dog out here. I don't know whose dog it was. If you hit the dog, it cries in pain. If you give the dog some food or you pet it, it's nice, it feels good, it wags its tail. You're very happy. Just like a human being. Simply the dog has less consciousness. So Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita that the spirit soul is in every body. Plant bodies, insect bodies, animal bodies, human bodies. But the bodies, the different bodies allow different displays of consciousness. Just like a light underneath a lampshade. A light bulb under a lampshade. According to the lampshade, different amounts of light come out. If you have a thick lampshade or a very dark lampshade over a light bulb, not so much light comes out. But if you have a transparent light shade, so much light from the bulb comes out. So bodies are like the light shades, lampshades. And the consciousness is like the light bulb. Or you could say the bodies are like sunglasses. According to the darkness of the sunglasses, they allow light to enter in to different degrees. Anything else? Please think about this. If you can grasp these points we've raised today, you can really make your life maximally successful. You'll be strong, your children will be strong, and your real career in life will be successful. Your real career is how to be genuinely happy and fulfilled. And material life can't do that, no matter how much money you have. So I hope now you see how important it is to understand the science of the soul and the Supreme Soul. Otherwise, as you saw, things will keep getting more crazy and more crazy as you pursue the materialistic conclusion. You are horrified to see what we showed you on the screen, but then your children might say, oh, no big deal. And then their children, the greatest gift that we can give to ourselves and the world is to understand the science as Krishna taught. Otherwise, we're just trying to defend ourselves with some very thin layer of tradition and belief and so-called culture, which we assume everyone else has. But everyone here, I'm sure everyone here, but then you look around, everyone's not sure. And that's why the Bollywood movie producers do what they do. They say, in 10 years, you'll be doing what we are showing on the screen now. What the actors are doing on the screen, in 10 years you'll be doing it. We know. We'll plant the seed, and in 10 years, what we have on the screen, wife swapping and this and that, it'll all be normal. Now you are paying money to see those movies. In 10 years, you'll be acting like that. They have it all figured out. The Bollywood movie producers say, we're being honest. We're artists, we're being honest. We live like this, so we're just putting on the screen the way we live. And the people are paying so much money to see it. What's wrong with that? They say, we know that 95% of the people in India will not act in this way and think it's abominable. But still, they pay money to see it. And in 10 years, they will be doing the same thing. So we're just helping them along, freeing them from guilt and shame. Soon we'll be worse than Hollywood. How great that will be. We'll show Hollywood the real way to act. And your children will be growing up amidst all that. So please realize the real success. Equip yourself with the original knowledge that Lord Krishna gives. The spiritual science of the self and the supreme self. And the relationship between the two. Then your life is genuinely successful. For you and your children. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare